So, what does our article cover? Broadly, we study how the value of different types of experience change based on different types of environmental changes faced by the firm. We look at the depth and breadth of experience as types of experience. Depth of experience represents the volume of accumulated experience within a particular market domain or niche, and it generally represents a capability to do things better in a stable environment in that particular niche. Breadth of experience represents the variety of experiences accumulated by the firm by entering different niches or market domains, and represents a capability to enter a new niche or doing new things if the need arises, as we expect in a changing environment. We look at the two important types of industrial changes, evolutionary changes, one being the generational technology cycles. In many technology industries, we are used to these generational technologies coming in, as we know from many iPhones, right? We know we have iPhone 5, 6, 7, and their operating systems 1, 2, 3, and now it's 14, 15. Or we know video game consoles, PlayStation 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And what we expect is that basically, right, the generational technological changes require firms to make changes in terms of the technology, of course, and then customers, because there are early and late adopters and they are widely different. And then finally, the products themselves offered to these people, customers themselves, which is a combination of technology and customer. People expect to have new products on their new generational technological devices that are quite different than the ones they had before. And we also look at the broader industry evolution, where in the earlier periods of an industry, we expect more major changes because industry is still very young and changing. And as industries gets more mature, our general expectation is that industry becomes more stable, more incremental, and so on. What we find is that for experience depth, we find that the experience depth reduces in value during the transition periods with a new generational technologies. So we studied the video game publishers and new games they released. And when there's a new generation of consoles comes, the experience depth in a particular game genre, which is our niche, basically has reduced value on the outcome. So it doesn't really improve the sales when it's a new generation of technologies in the early years. But over time, as the industry gets more mature, this experience depth actually improves the sales of the products over time. And if we consider the experience breadth, what we find is that the experience breadth is important in improving product outcomes during the generational technological shift. So early on in a new generation comes, the products actually benefit from the experience breadth of the firm, but this effect is not there during the stable periods of a generation. We also, interestingly, find a non-finding that the experience breadth does not reduce in value as the industry gets more mature. That's our intuitive prediction, where we say, well, if industries gets more mature, maybe experience breadth should not have any value over time or have even reduced value, has negative value, maybe even. But we find no such things. And digging deeper in the industry, we show that actually this industry does not represent more and more incremental generations, as there have been new technologies that actually changes wildly different kinds of games produced in this industry. Our study has two main contributions and two side contributions. Our first main contribution is making explicit how the experience outcome link depends on particular kinds of changes within that context and the types of experience considered. For example, our non-finding that the breadth of experience does not reduce over time is closely linked to the fact that in our context, generational changes themselves were not getting more incremental over time. So it's very important that it should be explicitly considered what kind of environmental changes or evolutionary changes are experienced by these firms and which kind of experiences are affected by these changes. Our second main contribution is digging deeper in what generational technological changes consist of, and they consist of technological change, a demand customer change, and the combination of these two, which culminates in the product change. Although we have data only at the product level, we corroborate this with some qualitative evidence, and it's an important future research point. We have two also side contributions. One is about basically, we are able to provide this granular data over a long time period to measure capabilities, although we are not able to fine-grain way measure these capabilities. It's just the product level data. This relates to dynamic capabilities literature, and it further encourages studies to have this data maybe about the dynamic capabilities themselves and to study these things longitudinally. Our second side contribution is about the platforms literature. Although this paper is not a platforms paper as it is, we actually have some findings that relate which kind of experiences matter for complementers, which we can say a T-shaped experience profile where they have some broad experience, but some specialization in particular genres to manage shifts of generations of these platform technologies. And it also tells something to platform owners that they need some complementers with broad types of experience, such that these platform owners can come up with good products, good complements on their platforms when they are first released, so that this broad experience complementers, right, that they will produce such products. Considering where the field can go, our study highlights a few points. One, it definitely calls for further granularity in measuring capabilities, in measuring generational technological transitions, and also understanding how these things interact longitudinally in different contexts. It also asks basically understanding these different contexts better to be able to cross-compare how, for example, generational technological changes would interact with these experiences if in our context these generations would have become more and more incremental over time. So in general, we hope our study contributes to other scholars, and we will be very happy to see further studies in this field. Thank you.